conquer our fear, raise our hands in the air, screaming, we are still here.
My name is Gianluca Rossino. I'm 22 years old and I'm currently resident in the north of Italy. I've always been involved in youth participation and as a delegate when I was in high school, and then I decided to put some effort to develop a youth council in my hometown. Finally, last year in 2019, we managed, actually quite 2 years ago now, we managed to develop it, to have official ratification from the city council. And now we have this tool to foster youth participation and to have our peers engaging in civil society. Moreover, I'm executive director of a network, which is a national network in Italy, and we work mainly the youth sector, but we also work to empower young people to be actively participating. And as a last adding, I would say that I also have the pleasure to be youth delegate to the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities. I believe that's a great meeting point because all the delegates are actually coming from the civil society. So that's also a way to bring our voice in the debate. I really believe that the impact of the pandemic has been tragic on many people, but at the same time, we have seen that young people and civil society organization actually took a stand for some ideas, some values they really believe in. And in terms of young people that actually expressed their voice, actually wanted to have a say in the political debate. We had various examples, I would say. In my country, in Italy, we have seen a group of around 80 organizations as an informal network that gathered to develop a plan that was addressing actually social priorities for young people, like, for example, access to labor opportunities, more inclusive societies. But at the same time, now there is also these opportunities of the new Next Generation EU plan, which is called Recovery Fund in Italy. And in this sort of political debate, also young people through the National Youth Council, for example, are trying to have their space to actually bring proposals to the debate, which is actually, I would say that even at local level, in my experience as a member of a local youth council, we have a closer connection with policymakers because every choice now seems to be more meaningful. Policymakers take 10 times they are 10 times more careful in what they want to plan in the policies and the safety measure. So it's also easier in a way for us to actually be considered when they take this decision. So there has been definitely some positive progress in young people decision maker debate. If we look at statistics, for example, and that actually something that gives us a clearer picture, we see that young people probably are gonna be the most impacted category or group of people in the society that actually will be impacted by COVID-19 more on a, would say, education level, because a lot of young people actually are struggling to this day to do digital learning. At the same time, there is this gap in terms of technology ability, to use new medias, and actually young people are the one that are supposed to do it better because they are probably more comfortable with all these tools. So in terms of job market, now they will be strongly impacted because there will be less opportunities for them. But I also believe they could have some chance to actually find new jobs, to actually invent also new professions. I'm worried more for the impact on the educational dimension as a whole, because we have a lot of kids actually that are 9, 10, 12 years old, and they are mostly suffering from this because they lack this social dimension where they can gather with people, gather with their kids, and sort of enjoying together growing up, which is something that they cannot do in this right moment. I have some good examples that I believe that actually found their way to be more meaningful in a way, during this pandemic time. Now they're obviously more looking at the local level because the international dimension is a bit frozen. And so when you go to the local level, actually there is this nice opportunity which is called Solidarity Project. And through that initiative, actually young people, even as informal groups, they can actually ask for funding and realize activities on their local level, in their local community. It really gives the space for young people to express their creativity, which is, very, very cool if you think about many other projects which are actually imposed by policymakers. There are countries which are actually more, and they're aware and they are still more ready to face what is happening during COVID time, because it's not only about being, to go in digital, it's actually a new paradigm in the way you participate. And if we go to digital participation, the way you can actually influence politics, There are countries which already have the tools. We are still far from that, but there are some very good examples. And actually, in the times of struggle, is when you see that those young people that feel the need, the responsibility to have an impact, then they will do their best to develop something even out of the very issues, complicated situation we are in.